Yeah,
Do you understand that, like, this is like Kering's last straw? Like, they are in dire straits, bro. Let me just
bro.
open those financial reports again, bro. Like, bro, if you
Yeah,
look at these
no.
financial reports, in 2023, they made 9.87 billion euros, and in 2024, they made 7.65 billion euros. It's down 23%.
Bro, coughing and wheezing, fam.
Bro,
Coughing, wheezing.
like, they're not playing. Like, it has to work. It's not even like a choice.
Yeah,
Like, it
no.
has to work. Like, Demna at Gucci has to work for them.
Yeah,
Otherwise, they are literally in dire straits.
bro. The life support. This is the thing, and obviously, this is a massive, massive undertaking. And if Gucci flops, I would put it 70% on the back office and not on Demna. I'll be real. I feel like it's almost because of all of the musical chairs that have been happening in the back office, just like with Burberry. How can a creative director work under those particular type of conditions? Do you know what I mean? But yes, Ceci, you're absolutely right. It is desperate. But yeah,
Do
like
you reckon they'll give him time? Because the thing about these things also is, like, when a designer comes in and really has to like revamp the whole aesthetic, the branding, the marketing, the messaging, and you might see a dip in the short term. How long do you think they're going to give him before they start panicking? Do you think?
bro. Oh, so once the first collection drops, you mean?
Yeah.
Oof.
How much time do
I
you think he's going
think
to be given before they start panicking and start
I
raising alarm bells?
I think it will. They'll if I think it will be 4 months. 4 months for them in the back office. It will look like 18 months to us, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So it will look like he has 2 years, but in reality, after that first show, and you know how they do with like the list index and everything like that after fashion weeks, and then once everything is in stores, it's like, or not once everything is in stores, prior to everything being in stores. Let me slow down. Prior to
Yeah.
everything being in stores, they look at the metrics to see if people are actually talking about the show still. They look at what people are interested in, if people are copying images of the bags. Like you worked at BOF, so like they have
Yeah. Yeah.
wild metrics. They're gonna look at that and be like, okay, this
Earned
can,
media value, all
yeah,
these kind of stats. Yeah. Because
exactly,
that's the BOF stat, that
yeah.
media value.
So yeah, across all platforms, across all social, you know what I'm saying, and then they'll see. I
Yeah.
I really think though, once it's in stores, because they're gonna have to change the look of the stores, because this is like it's not just a massive undertaking for them; it's a massive undertaking for the new CEO as well, because they have to
And
change
stores
the
have to
revamp.
fit the aesthetic or the mood
Exactly.
of a designer. So if he's going on in some dark direction, all the stores are like, lime green or whatever, it doesn't work.
Yeah, precisely the point. And boy, is so 4 months.
If
They're
Demna
not gonna
doesn't hit
change
the
the stores
ground
for rubbish.
running, the execs are going berserk for sure. Berserk is a bit crazy, to be honest.
No,
I
it's
think, I
like,
think, I think, kind of. I agree with what you said. I think they'll give him maybe like a season or two, like sell through. Like they'll
yeah.
allow it to hit stores. They'll be like, okay, one or two. Do you know something I'm really interested in though? Something that I've always loved when it comes to Demna and Balenciaga is the footwear. The footwear is always impeccable. I know that I've forgotten the footwear designer at
You've
Balenciaga,
been
but
speaking about the footwear. You've been very
yeah, there's a person that does the footwear design. I hope they move that person to Gucci. If Kering knows what's good for them, that person needs to be moved to Gucci to make really innovative footwear, because
mm,
Gucci's footwear is really stale. Like, they just slap a horse bit on every trending shoe. Like, there's no innovation there really. Or when a sneaker trend is like trendy, then they try to make their own sneaker. The last time I think Gucci had like a shoe that was hot was, the Gucci Ace sneakers.
pardon.
The Gucci Ace, and then I think the Rythons. Those are like the two ones that I remember were like selling
Oh
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
hotcakes.
Ooh, yeah, no, no, yeah, 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 yeah. The B one, B ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah,
outside
yeah.
of that, a lot of their other shoes, it just seems like they are kind of reacting to trends. But when they do their own thing, it goes crazy. It literally goes
Yeah.
crazy.
The interesting thing, the very, very interesting thing is where we're moving just as a culture, right? And we're quite on the precipice of the end of this stealth wealth era. And so, by my account, the Demna's gonna come in right at the juncture where it's gonna be start switching. So I feel like Demna still is at the head of at least celebrity culture, right? So will he make them maximalists again and
Yeah,
like show out properly, or is he going to be a little bit more subdued? And I feel like exactly what you're saying, the footwear will be a good indicator of that, because a lot of people now are buying into wearing suits, wearing loafers, wearing Oxfords. You know, they really like Baswegians, for instance, or even
that's true. That's
like
having
Goodyear welted shoes, all of these other things, right? So
even
and people,
Trickers. I've seen a lot more people talking about
oh,
Trickers. You know, Trickers had that really cool collaboration with Burberry, and a lot of
mm,
people have been talking about that. And it seems like younger people now, because when I used to think of Trickers, I always think of like old men with money that want really well made shoes. But since the Burberry collab, I'm seeing like, you know, younger kids like really interested in like quality and learning about what does Goodyear welted actually mean? You know, what do these
mm,
welts what are they? What's a Blake stitch? Like they're actually really learning about these things. So to be honest, I think that is like very important, like what you said, and also I think fashion is also going there. And if you can
yeah,
have footwear that really pushes those trends even further, that's the position you want to be in, which is why that Balenciaga footwear designer needs to be or at least working with Gucci in some capacity. Because I don't know who they have there now, but whoever's there now isn't like producing hits like the
yeah, no,
Balenciaga team. It just is what it is.
they're not. And I feel like the conversation that you were having the other day, I think you were reviewing this one guy's video about them cutting open a shoe. Was it a Gucci
Yeah,
shoe?
that was a Gucci shoe. That was a Gucci
Yeah.
shoe. The
So
Bubbly made Gucci shoes. That was Gucci.
ever more important now
Horrible
that
construction.
they actually do something about it. Like, so someone's gonna cut that open, him or Tanner Leverstein, and they're gonna see if there's a shank in that shoe. And like, you know, so it's like the real details. And it's either fortunate or unfortunate, but Demna is one of those. The footwear designer is one of them. As in, like, they do well within like their creations. Like, even with that one leather, I think it was the leather that started looking like armor. So like they've done great things with fabrication as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I think they could create interesting things, but that all of that leather looking like armor thing is for Balenciaga. Like we're talking about Gucci now, it is a different customer. Like kudos to Demna, he put a whole generation of the youth in Balenciaga, but the demographic has changed now when you go to Gucci.
It has.
And
And do you know something that
do you have a Gucci
because
person in your family, by the way?
no.
I feel like,
Um,
okay, so I've got an uncle that is in Gucci. Yeah, he's a Gucci
okay.
guy, and he don't dress like none of us, obviously. Like he gets the loafers. He loves a nice little Gucci jacket, and he literally looks like not a finance bro, but you know, the old school finance bros, like from the
Yeah.
90s. That's not
Briefcase with the horse bit loafers and
as
nice.
he so he's dedicated. Like
Do you know the
my
caveat though I'm gonna give?
bro.
A lot of well, I mean he's still at Balenciaga, so I was about to say his during his tenure. But I guess we could still say that during his tenure at Balenciaga, there have been a lot of quality control issues. So
Mm,
if we're talking about, you know, the fact that someone opened up this Gucci pair of shoes and they were really badly constructed, which they were, and Demna coming in and being able to fix it, I don't know if he can do that. And that's the thing. Creative directors aren't necessarily always responsible for the whole supply chain. So that's like a whole deeper issue. Like the supply chain is so like vast, especially for a brand like Gucci, that someone like Demna doesn't really have that much
mm,
control over something like that. So it's not really something that he can control or something that's within his control. That's more the CEO and like the other people making the right decisions to help push his vision in a way. But
as
someone
a
said, I work there. We are all excited for him, just worried about a Balenciaga transfer, just like Alessandro when he went to Valentina. Okay, interesting. Where do you work? Do you work in like head office, in the store? Because I feel like either way, you'll have some really interesting insights, to be honest.
yeah.
As an Italian, nobody buys Gucci, and if they do, they buy fakes. Damn,
That's
that's
interesting.
crazy.
And there are more people with that take though. Like I'm even listening to a lot of the Americans, and because America is such like a big open market now since the China slowdown, they are looking to Americans to buy, but Americans like dupes now.
Yeah,
And these big luxury houses are gonna have to contend with that. And a lot of people in London, like we know, they are scared for I think it's for a rubbish reason that people are gonna steal their things. But you know, like I feel like the high society people that walk around London do not walk around where those type of things happen, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the way that these guys move around is interesting. And can Demna capture Kuwait? That's a big thing for me now as well. So for those who don't know,
His
Kuwait is
aesthetic is a bit too. It's a bit too. What's even the word I'm looking for? But yeah, I don't think like the Middle East necessarily take to,
his
especially
current
Middle Eastern women, like they take to his like current aesthetic. I don't think it's
aesthetic.
that whole gothic thing. I don't think that's for them, to be honest.
So yeah, no, I do think he does have to switch his philosophy. But then this is see, this is the thing. Like I'm looking at the different pockets of people that live in this price bracket, and you know the price of a Gucci bag is gonna have to rise so that it at least tries to compete with Chanel in some way, or even LV. They have to get to LV before they even get to Chanel, don't they? So yeah, like these women pick. So they're either
Yeah.
gonna pick them, Laura Piana, is, and if they like them, then they're gonna get them all. But for some reason, Gucci is not. Well, not for some reason. We can see the reason is obvious. Gucci is not in their list.
Yeah.
Gucci is just not in their list.
Okay, let's see what Tarek said. I'm in Kuwait now. The scandal stuff seriously scared people away from Balenciaga. My sales assistant homie told me personally. Yeah. Do you know what's funny though? So I was doing research. I was trying to figure out what the numbers have been since the scandal and try to see like if they've been suffering or not. And I think I saw some like stats via BOF where they're essentially talking about the fact that industry sources are saying that Balenciaga's business has climbed back because in Asia, the PR scandal wasn't as big. Like it wasn't much of a scandal in Asia. So a lot of the customers in Asia are like buying it like, you know, business as usual. So they weren't too affected because that's where their main customer base is. So someone was asking earlier, can Gucci survive a scandal? I think they can. They've already done it. Do you remember when Gucci had the blackface scandal thing? Yeah, they it's almost like people forgot about that a week later. So I think they can definitely get over a scandal for sure.
So yeah, like there's so many pockets of rich people. I hate calling them that, but you know, people of means, people of wealth that yeah, they need it. Like the Dapper Dan is not gonna get it done this time. You know what I mean? It's like all respect and love to Dapper Dan, but yeah,
So this is facts. They did survive a murder scandal. Yeah, you're bringing it back now.
they're bringing it
Before
back.
before Tom Ford came and saved them from their own turmoil.
Trust.
Yeah, they did survive a murder scandal. So that's fact. Yeah, if Gucci can survive a murder scandal, they can survive anything at this point. I think Gucci thrives in scandal.
Yeah, but this the thing, right? Like, if someone likes a bag enough, they're gonna buy the real thing, and then they're gonna buy the dupe as well. So it's like there's all of these different behaviors that I'm scanning the market for, and I do think it's quite interesting the way that you know the United Arab Emirates adopt different brands. Like right now, currently, Laura Piana is big. Well, not currently. It's been big consistently, but like that's super big in there, and you know they could possibly adopt
It's
some
funny
more.
as you mentioned Laura Piana. Yeah, that's the big news. That we were talking about this in the Discord yesterday, actually. But yeah, it's interesting to see where luxury fashion is going. I also think, and I've mentioned this before, that you know China, it just Asia in general as a market, a lot of these luxury brands are starting to maximize it, which is why they're looking elsewhere. We're starting to see a lot of these luxury brands investing in fast-growing markets and economies like India, for example, where let's say in the next 10 years there are going to be so many luxury consumers that their needs aren't met, and they're really trying to, you know, go in there and see how they can meet the needs of the people there. That's why Dior had their show in Mumbai, right? So they're gonna have to work hard. So even like we're saying, you know, would this work in the Middle East? They also need to think, would this work in India? Stuff like that.
Exactly, because they got to be invested in it. Like I'm invested in it. Like I'm heavily invested in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like, and this the thing, right? Who's them not gonna be having these conversations with now? Like he was having a conversation with the youth before, but yo, the youth's parents dress differently. They don't
Facts.
wear the same things, do they? And I guess I think some of them will move to Chanel with Blaze from Bottega, but he's gonna have to start talking differently. That being said, I do have a question for you. A
Go on.
side question. The empty seat at Balenciaga.
Yeah.
What
Well,
are
who do
the
I think
odds?
is going to be there?
Not just that. What are the odds you think Galliano would be there?
I mean, he could, but from the names I've been hearing, he hasn't been on that list, to be very honest. It's
Interesting.
possible, but I've heard Daniel Roseberry, I've heard Pieter Mulier, I've heard like so many different names, but definitely not John Galliano. But he could go there, like he could.
Listen, one of the best dressmakers of our time, the historically the best dressmaker. I feel like these stories write themselves partially.
This musical chairs though, it's crazy. Like, how off the top of your head, how many of these like moves can you remember? Like Simone
Four.
Bellotti
Oh wait, six.
to Jill Sander, Matteo Blasi to Chanel, Luis Trotta to Bottega Veneta. What else? Well, there's loads. Like Heider Ackerman to Tom Ford. There's so many of these moves.
Left Loewe, of
Yeah,
course.
Jedi Armisen leaving Loewe.
Yeah.
Obviously, Alessandra Michela to Valentina, but that was not that recent.
Yeah, that was a little bit recent.
Bro, it's too much. I actually can't keep up. Like, I genuinely cannot.
Bro, I'm tired. It's interesting because this is the
Yeah,
arena.
the Versace move that literally happened today.
Yeah.
Yeah, Glenn Martins, exactly. Glenn Martins to Margiela. You have Peter Copin to Lanvin. You have what other ones
Did
are
you
there?
already say who are those two guys that went to Loewe? Did you already say that?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Up to Loewe.
Yeah.
Got the
I
name
haven't. I
forgot.
didn't say them.
Yeah. Wow. Such a
It's actually a lot.
deal. All of this
I
is
have
a
to like
big.
write it down.
Yeah. Like I was listing the ones that happened in the past 6 months. I was
Kim leaving Dior, yeah.
yeah,
Celine, Michael Ryder,
yes.
Celine, Eddie Simon obviously leaving, bro.
Yeah, and Luke Myers. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's really crazy because Gucci moved away from maximalism after parting with Michela to go right back to maximalism.
That's absolutely
That's
right.
the thing.
That's absolutely
But
right. A different maximalist.
this is a good point also. At least you don't have to worry about lack of live stream material.
That
Thank you to
is
the fashion gods.
the silver lining for sure.
Yeah, also, yes, Sarah Burton at Givenchy, who just had her debut recently, which I'm going to review probably tomorrow. Even Dries Van Noten, Julian Klausner at Dries Van Noten, that's a new move too. Yeah, it's,
Oh, wow.
I just have to, I feel like we can keep going. Like over time, you just remember
Yeah.
more and more and more and more. It's a lot.
What's happening with Maximilian Ferragamo, by the way?
Nothing. He's still there doing his thing. It's just, he's kind of flying under the radar.
Interesting. Yo, Sabato was interim head. Yeah, man.
Interim head coach is insane.
That's interesting. Yeah. But yeah, no, like I feel like what does AZGDV say? I feel like their name is as Gidev. Demna, Tom, and Alessandro actually have a lot in common. Demna, if not two auto-referential, will do extremely well. Plus, Alessandro wanted to leave because the brand was too big to manage, and he wasn't fired. Interesting. But yeah, I do partially think what you're saying is correct in terms of they do have a lot in common.
I could just cry as a Gucci lover, like Sabato's work. It wasn't something groundbreaking, but damn, I just know. Yeah, I once again, I never say that it's the fault of Sabato. Whatever happened during his time at Gucci, it's purely the people making the decisions, like the higher ups, telling him to design that way. Because Sabato is obviously capable. Because when you see a lot of his garments in person, and I like work with the Gucci team sometimes, so I did have a lot of experience, like seeing a lot of his runway pieces in person. They are very well made. It's just that bad communication, bad marketing, them forcing him to do trends that he probably didn't want to do. He probably just wanted to focus on like building a cohesive wardrobe. So it's their fault. It's not him at all. It really isn't him. And I can understand why some people like his work because the clothing was really well made, to be fair.
Was it Gucci though? That's the question.
But then what is Gucci? And that's the question I'm asking, because when we think of Demna, when he has to ask himself, okay, what is Gucci? Like when he's designed, like if I'm going to use a house code outside of like the horse bit and those like tiny little things.
I think Gucci is sensationalism.
Right.
There is a need to be up, to be the biggest, to be the loudest in the room with or without a logo, just by the family, the way that they handle stuff. And then thereafter, so Tom Ford thereafter, Michele thereafter. Maximalism is a good word, but I don't think it's the best word. I do think that there is a feeling of, you know, a level of ostentatiousness that people have when wearing
Hmm.
Gucci. Like, and sometimes it's subtle and subdued, and sometimes it's very, very loud. And you know, the loudness changes, but the volume is still like at the maximum, which is why I understand the maximalism being part of there. But yeah, like it's because it's unlike Louis Vuitton, which is not sensationalism, because Louis Vuitton genuinely doesn't have a house codes. They genuinely don't. Like it's just Louis Vuitton, and then people try
Yeah,
because like
because of the history of the brand. Once again, it's kind of similar to what we've been saying the whole time with Gucci.
yeah.
With whereas if you design at Dior, there are loads of house
Oh,
codes.
yeah. And I do want to say that people were saying that Demna were like they really rejected Demna just based on the fact that he used the memes in these designs a lot, and he was desecrating Cristobal's name. I was not one
Yes,
of those people.
there's Cristobal is rolling in his grave if he was,
Yeah.
just looking at these clothes and all that. I don't. So I've
How
always
could you
said
call
that
this couture?
I don't think there's anything wrong with him using memes or doing all that meme stuff. It's the communication that rubs me the wrong way. It's because early on, when Balenciaga were doing all that gimmicky crap, like, a shirt on a shirt, a 7-layer park, an IKEA bag, like all this like gimmicky stuff. We used to call Demna a marketing genius. Like, oh, we know people are going to get talking. He knows this. It's going to cause a friendly. It keeps Balenciaga in people's mouths, and then when people see something that they like, that's Balenciaga, because it's something that's in their mind, they'll go and buy it. It's just a buzzy brand that's always buzzy. So we used to be like, he's a marketing whiz. But then as time progressed, he then started to behave or act or pretend like those things aren't gimmicks. And there's actually like more weight to these things when there just really isn't. And that's where he started to lose me.
Yeah, the post we went into a post irony phase and it
Yeah.
didn't work. And he was, you know, he was doing the reference a bit too much. He was beating it like a dead horse, like, oh my god, waste. Oh my god, irony. You know what I'm saying?
Well, like I've told you, I know what the next Balenciaga show. Well, obviously it's a couture, but if let's say he did another ready-to-wear show, I can literally break it down to you to a science. Like Demna's whole stick right now for the past, let's say, 8-9 seasons is I'm going to rework clothing that's seen as mundane or everyday and
Mm.
change the elements slightly. So I'm gonna question kind of what is fashion, what is high fashion. That's his stick. He's been doing it with his couture shows and ready to wear. So he's gonna do like make a hoodie, but it's going to be a gown. Or he's going to, make a t-shirt, but it's a t-shirt dress, not just a normal t-shirt. And then maybe it has frills at the bottom. Or that's what he does. It's like he doesn't develop the ideas. It's not because there's a difference between, having a signature and then doing something with that and then just not even developing. Like Rick Owens has a signature, but every season is not predictable in that way. Like every season, there are completely different ideas, even though the aesthetic and silhouette looks kind of similar. With Demna, genuinely, it's the same ideas.
No, it's, like I'm into. It's interesting because it sounds like he was doing the Virgil will change it 3%, and then doing
The
the
3%
3% rule.
rule. Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to V. Like I do believe we need to leave post irony in like post. Like we need to put it to rest, and or at least like change it. Change it. Have a different thing that you were being ironic about, because the Gucci customer likes that they're rich, as far as I'm aware. They
Yeah.
don't need to hide, or they don't want to, and all of these other things. Gucci would I don't know. Like did you think that the stealth wealth incognito wealth worked at Gucci?
No.
Yeah.
Like the numbers show that it didn't work.
So
Bro, look at their revenue.
they're
Down
definitely
23%.
oh my gosh, down
So of
horrendous.
course it didn't work.
I do think it will be a telltale sign, Gucci, if they don't change the interior design of the stores, or should I say the
Yeah.
interior architecture of the stores, because changing the interior architecture shows that you're investing considerably into the brand direction, right? And if they don't and they just put the new stuff there, that means that they saw some numbers that weren't reflective of the brand direction or the interior design being paying off dividends. So they'd want to go a different direction. That's one of my telltale signs. That's why I like going out. I have to
Do you
go
know
outside.
something I also really question actually? Just Gucci's marketing strategy in general. Because when I remember when Sabato was hired as the creative director, do you remember they had that documentary about Sabato, right? And it was supposed to be like, you know, who is Sabato
Oh
Desano type.
yeah, yeah.
But no one watched it. Like, no, obviously I saw it, I reacted to it, but like it was, you couldn't really find it anywhere. It was only on like Mubi. And like, so unless you had a Mubi subscription, you couldn't actually really watch it. So it's just like, why make that documentary if it's hard to access? Like the whole point of that rollout is so that people understand who Sabato is. So if you put it in a place that's hard to find, no one watches it, then people just don't even know who Sabato is and people can't take to him as a
Mhm.
person. So I don't know who made that decision, but that to me was a really, really terrible
Yeah,
decision. How they
why
rolled
didn't they
that
work
out.
with Vogue? Like,
Exactly.
anyone could have told them to just work with Vogue. I don't think you need to pay me £5,000 a consultation for me to tell you that. But you should. You should pay me
And you
5,000.
know these brands, every project they do, they always burn unnecessary money because when they shoot those kind of documentaries, everyone on set is staying in the Ritz or you know, it's always ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's
So
crazy.
just
It's crazy
stupid
work.
overheads.
It's crazy work. Like, and they, whew, I want to know a lot of stuff about Gucci, but I do believe that. See, look, this stuff at Balenciaga was just so refreshing to me. Be real.
Yeah, that was back then though.
Back to wait, this is a long time ago. This is
Yeah.
which is wilding. Yeah, no, yeah, but on a serious note, like there's value in what Demna has done a long time ago though, and what he should do at Gucci is not try to revive it or revive his style or put his current style into Gucci. I don't really see that direction working at all, and mostly because like I don't know on your end, do people blame Demna for the scandal that happened? Are people still blaming him for that?
Do you know what it is? I think it depends who you speak to. People that are kind of into fashion, some of them do blame Demna from what I've seen.
Mhm.
People who obviously aren't into fashion don't even know who Demna is. So they're just like, Balenciaga, wasn't that the brand that
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? So I think it depends who you speak to. But I would say majority of people don't even know who Demna is, so they just blame the brand, to be honest.
yeah. Because if it's like that, then I'm
To
guessing.
gauge if it's going to follow him to Gucci.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm trying to understand
Yeah.
like what is the sentiment, the current sentiment socially on Demna. Because if it's negative, then whatever he does at Gucci isn't necessarily gonna change. It's
Mm.
not gonna change that. Like that's you're just putting like almost something that's nuclear active or radioactive, another brand. So is it him that the prices are going down, or is it the fact that the scandal happened? And we're gonna find out. Like, there's a lot of things we're gonna find out when he's at Gucci, honestly. Like, in
Yeah,
thinking
just give
about
it
it.
a year.
Yeah.
And we'll have all the answers. Someone's, yeah, I only watched the documentary because of you. Yeah, I think you're talking about the Sabato de Sano documentary, right? And that's my point. Like, it shouldn't have been so difficult to find. Like, if I was doing that roller, I would have done it with Vogue, where everyone has access to it. Because the whole point is you want people to take to the creative director.
Mm.
Why would you put that behind like Mubi and stuff? It's just weird. Not only is it like a paywall, it's a paywall that's like not everyone can access because Mubi, you can't access it from like every region, right? It's just so silly.
And if you wanted to be like a little bit more niche with it, go to BOF. Like, so many
Yeah.
people go to BOF as an alternative, and it's calm. Like, all women's wears daily. Like, you know what I mean? Like, should be no reason why not going to Vogue. And then the way, because it's also in pairing with what LVMH did the last 4 years, which is go absolutely like just ham on their marketing and their reach and everything like that. And they really capitalized on the influx of money that came from China. And we saw that considerably, especially with them doing the Olympics as well. So everything really came to a head. And obviously, we're having the luxury slowdown currently. But at the same time, there's a lot of value and understanding that we can take from LVMH to see what
Yeah.
Kering can do.
Yeah, and maybe subscribers probably don't care about fashion. You're probably right, to be honest.
That's not.
It's
You're
just
not
the rollout
wrong.
to me just didn't make any sense. Thank you for the super chat, Everett. Where's John Galliano going? If not, but I thought that John Galliano was gonna fight to open his brand back up and just design his eponymous label. I thought that was always the plan, but I don't know. It's not like I'm part of his team. That's my assumption.
Yeah, no. I feel like there's a lot of interesting things that could possibly happen with Demna at Gucci. Like I said when I first came on the live, like letting the ideas ruminating, so I don't have like a massive reaction. So technically, this is my live reaction happening.
Yeah.
That all of the interesting thoughts are unfolding as we have this conversation. So yeah.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to give it some time. That's why I didn't make the stream like immediate. I just wanted to take it in a bit, see what I think, gather my thoughts first. Someone in the chat was saying that people are still angry at Demna, that on the BOF post there's a lot of like people. So let me open the BOF post and see what
Please
some of the
and thank
comments are.
you. He's doing the Drake duck clips, which is hilarious.
Let's see. There's so much talent out there which is untapped. Whilst these designers are all good, the new generation is even better. It would be really inspiring to see an unheard of talented design being given at least an opening. This seems like a merry-go-round of the same designer going round and round. To be honest, though, in Gucci's defense, in Kering's defense, their revenue is down 23%. They're desperate for, something that's going to change the direction, because right now everything is going downwards. They need to reverse that. They're not going to do that with a no-name designer, to be very honest.
I'll be real, there's not a lot of unnamed inspiring talent. There's maybe like 4.
Wait, Eugene, let me see what Eugene said. François Pinault is the Donald Trump of fashion. I've never seen someone so keen on burning down his own home. Damn.
Wow.
Damn. Someone said at least Balenciaga is saved.
Damn.
Did literally everyone else turn the job down? Oh my gosh. These are how to murder a dying brand. Golly. The guys are not really feeling dumb, are they?
Interesting.
I'm screaming because why did he even go with that picture? The whole vibe screams troll. But Demna always poses like that. I find it kind of strange. But if I was to like Google Demna Vasalia, he's always pouting. That's kind of what he does. I would know this because every time I have to make a thumbnail and I have to look for Demna pictures to use as my thumbnail, I always see pictures like this where he's like pouting. So like he's literally always pouting. Like he's always posing like that. So yeah, there's nothing new by Demna standards.
Russian post-Soviet. But yeah, as things go on, while we talk about Elon, he was great at Balenciaga. There was something that really aligned with the spirit of Cristobal, if not the clothes, but Gucci. Yeah, no, I think he can be good at Gucci. That is like my overall sentiment, honestly. And I think if we're honest with ourselves, and if Demna's honest with himself, he can, let bygones be bygones with the current style and say, yo, I should do something different. But I'm nobody.
This YouTube channel runs on your support. If you want to support the channel, you can subscribe to my Patreon. You'll gain access to exclusive content that includes everything from my Patreon podcast, where I give a behind-the-scenes insight into the fashion industry, as well as a fashion book club, where I review my favorite fashion books. You can also check out my fashion ebook, which highlights the best fashion journalists to follow, definitions of common fashion terminology, and how to determine what a good source of fashion information is. The links to everything are in the description below.